Hi guys, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. It's just finished outside St James's Park. Newcastle United 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 0.
Has it? I fucking slept through most of that. It was absolutely diabolical.
We're doing the player ratings between me and Paul. No, obviously very happy, as you can tell. I'm going to start with Martin Dubravka. He's one of the only players that gets higher than a 6 for me, if I'm being brutally honest, because he had a couple of shots to save, especially in the second half. There's a couple of efforts, and especially I think it was like 5 minutes from the end, Paul, he has a shot which from the Gallagher it looks like it's going in bottom corner, but it was very comfortably saved. I'm going to give Dubravka a 7 out of 10, but I think that's probably one of the highest marks we're going to give today.
It would be, yeah. Yeah, nosebleed territory, that.
Who are we going to start with? Right, we'll start with Jetro Willems, Paul. Scored a screamer at Anfield at the Anfield Road end last week, and wasn't the same player this week, was he?
I think he left his balls in his purse at Anfield, because I'm telling you something, he couldn't put a tackle in, he couldn't pass, he had no movement, no ideas, no absolute nothing in mind. Sick of it as well, mate. You can't blame him. Can't blame him. Absolutely fucking shite it is. But yeah, I think he left his balls in the purse. I wouldn't give him more than 1 out of 10. It was awful. Absolutely awful. That was diabolical.
Paul Dummett. It was okay. He was better than most of the players we had on the pitch, like him and Dubravka, and I think we're going to touch on the Lascelles as well. I think they were probably the best 3 players that we had today, apart from the substitutes, which we'll talk on a bit. He handled Brighton's attack okay, because most of Brighton's attack, especially in the first half, were impacting Javier Manquillo in particular, and Miguel Almiron just wasn't tracking back at all. He was oblivious to it, so I'm going to give Paul Dummett a 6 out of 10. I'll let you continue with Jamaal Lascelles.
Lascelles was probably one of the few who started the game who actually seemed to give a shit. I mean, he started off a bit wobbly, but he seemed to grow into the game. So if you give Dubravka a 7, I think it's only fair that you give Jamaal Lascelles a 7. He had a bit of a run forward in the second half, but I will say one thing. I want to see more communication, more heart on your sleeve, more passion, more hold on the likes of Jonjo Shelvey to account, and we'll get onto him shortly.
The problem for me is that Jamaal Lascelles was the only player that had the balls to go out and actually go forward, especially in that first half. Brighton had 79% possession. No disrespect to Brighton and Albion, but Brighton and Albion had 79% possession at St James's Park this afternoon. Not good enough. It's Fabian Schär.
It's unbelievable, because going back to that 79% possession, Bruce just sits there with his thumb up his arse. There was no change or anything at all. No, again, I want to see a bit of heart. I want to see a bit of blood, passion, spit, aggression, something from the man. He's sitting there chowing away of his original. Schär, he saved our Arsenal bacon big time on the second half. That goal-line clearance, fan-bloody-tastic. Elegant bastard, lovely, a few turns here and there. Again, I think he's somewhere around about the 6 or a 7.
Yeah, what are you going to go with?
Go for a 6. He was probably slightly, if you're looking at the overall thing, but at the end of the day, if he had made that clearance, we would have been leaving here with what we deserved, which was absolutely fuck all.
43,000 people apparently saw this game. Probably less than 39,000 in my opinion, I think, saw this game today. And Javier Manquillo started at right wing back today. Defensively, I think you're going to get that sort of performance from Javier Manquillo. He's a bit weak, but defensively he was okay. Attacking wise, he just doesn't offer you anything. His crosses were appalling again. Yes, he's probably deserved to go back in the team, Paul, because Kraft, he needed to come out of the team, and I feel like maybe we probably would have considered with him in the team. But Javier Manquillo doesn't get more than a 5 out of 10 for me today. Yeah,
and if Joelinton isn't back in the next game, because at least he gives you something going forward, which is something we sorely missed. I personally think that Manquillo was better than Williams on the other side, but to be fair, it wouldn't have took better, because the stewards did a better job playing football today than what the team did.
I'll start with Isaac Hayden. Not as good as previous weeks. Still, he can't fault his desire, but I felt he lost the midfield. But if that was down to maybe the fact that Brighton had playing a 3-4-3 formation, and the fact that we were playing effectively 5-3-2 and we were just outnumbered, I think that doesn't help him or Jonjo Shelvey.
Weren't we, in that middle of the park? I said to Lee during the game, I said it's like they've got an extra player or two, because every second ball was just dropping for a green shirt. It was absolutely embarrassing. Yeah, he got overrun, not helped by obviously Jonjo Shelvey.
No, he wasn't. Again, I'm not going to give Hayden much more than a 5, and I'm going to go 5 out of 10. Jonjo Shelvey, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. I'm going to sit on the fence a little bit. He's trying to do something, but at times...
Is he?
I felt like he was trying to do a couple of Hollywood passes. Just obviously he gave the ball away from those passes. But he's given those away so many times over the years, hasn't he?
It's like doing fucking Hollywood balls in Middlesbrough or something like that, or Redcar or some shithole else, Sunderland, whatever you want to say. There's certain situations where it's fine if you're 4 or 5-0 up, if you're playing well. But when you're playing dog shit, can you please just find another man, pass sideways, don't give the ball away. It was absolutely garbage. And people got on a Colaccini towards the end of his tenure, and he was on a lot of money. But I'm telling you now, he offered nothing.
He wasn't as bad as what Colaccini was back when he was earning that amount of money. That's just my opinion. Look, he's not going to get a high score, but at least he's trying to do something, Paul. I know he didn't play well, but he's trying to do something.
He was trying, all right. He was trying my fucking patience. I'll tell you that for now. I wouldn't give him any more than a 1 out of 10, and that is being generous. When he was subbed off, it was one of the highlights of the match today. It was diabolical. I can't wait for Longstaff to be back.
Paul's gone 1 out of 10 for Jonjo Shelvey. Do you agree? I would have gone with a 4 out of 10, and just if you wanted to get my voting on it. But I'm going to go with Christian Atsu again. I just felt that he was just out battled today. I said in my preview that Newcastle need to target the flanks because Brighton are going to play 3 at the back. They're playing 3-4-3 the last few weeks. Graham Potter wants to continue with that. And Dan Burn and those sort of players just outmuscled him. And what are you going to expect?
It's a joke, isn't it? It's a fucking joke. Players like this, who you're mentioning, are out muscling and outdoing Newcastle United players. It might as well have been bloody Brian Potter, Harry Potter, any Potter, because to be fair, you would have literally outclassed and outfought Steve Bruce today. Atsu, I thought, was back to his old best, and I tell you what you need to do with that lad is put a bit of Last Christmas or a bit of George Michael on, because the lad performs well at Christmas and then historically doesn't do anything else the rest of the time. It was back to old Atsu. He's had a little bit of a run, a little bit of a decent run recently, but it was just back to absolute dog shit today, in my opinion. Sorry,
these are the games where you need a Christian Atsu and a Miguel Almiron, which we'll talk about in a second, to step up and arrive for the occasion. But they just didn't. And yes, we'll talk about the fact that Brighton had loads of possession, but do something about when you get the possession. Take the man on, get a cross in. Crosses were appalling.
Get sent off as well.
Crosses were appalling all day.
He put it literally, you could tell he was getting raged, and rather than do something about it constructively, he just went in there and he dived in. And luckily, it could have been a lot worse, that one. But the last thing you want is a bloody red card when you're at home and you're down to 10 against these.
I'm going to go 3 out of 10 for Christian Atsu. Miguel Almiron, Paul. The guy can't get a break, but he's not helping himself, has he? He needs to have a bit more composure on the ball. He needs to pass it so much earlier. I like the fact that effort-wise, he wants to do something, but he's trying to force it. I think he had that big chance in the first half, and if that goes in, maybe we'll get a different Miguel Almiron, but he doesn't take the chance, and he just never looked back from there, did he?
He needs one of them goals like what Watford scored, where it just goes in off your shin, your arse, any which way, just goes in the back of the net, because he just looks devoid of confidence. He doesn't look the same player as last season. He's too far off Joelinton. He needs to get further up and bridge the gap, and he's just running around like a headless chicken, and I want him to do so well. And I do think there's a quality player in there, I really, really do. But again today, it was diabolical. It was really, really bad. Support the lad. He can do it.
But you've got to look at today's performance, Paul. Yeah. Christian Atsu's getting a 3. Is he getting more than a 3?
He would be a 2 or a 3, yeah. So I'll let you have the decider on that one.
I'll go 3. I'll be nice, but I don't think he deserves any more than that. Joelinton up top was out battled today. Didn't win any balls in the air. Gave away silly free kicks. Had a couple of half chances, should have scored from the corner, free header, got to be scoring them as well. Another big opportunity that Newcastle had. Not one game I think he's going to look back with great fondness. I'm going to go 4 out of 10.
But I will say with Joelinton as well, the players around him have got to help the lad out. He stood there by himself, and I know I totally take on what you're saying and I totally agree with it, but where's the support around him? Where are they trying to close that gap? We're at home and we look like an away side, like we're playing Barcelona or something. It's Brighton, with the greatest of respect, to Brighton. But come on, give the lad a bit of bloody support, a bit of help. And you saw later on in the game when Carroll come on, at least there was a little bit of something being created.
4 out of 10 for Joelinton, if you missed that before. Substitutes, there was double substitution. I'll let you start with Sung-Yueng, who came on for Jonjo Shelvey. Had more of the ball, especially in Brighton's half of the pitch. Steady enough.
Out had been an improvement on Jonjo. If I'd have come on, it would have been a step up from Jonjo Shelvey in that particular game. He did all right, but that's about as much as you can say. He's a bit like anaglypta wallpaper when you're wanting acrylic and shiny stuff. He's anaglypta wallpaper. I think he's had his time, I really, really do, and I think he needs to be shifted on, but he was all right today. Nothing at all spectacular, though, at all.
Rating?
About 4. Trying to be generous.
Saint-Maximin was only one player that really seemed to want to take the defenders on. Won a couple of free kicks. Had
Crazy bastard.
Yeah, got a few shots on. If he was fit enough, I think you've got to start him next week. I don't think Bruce will. I don't think he wants to risk him getting another injury like he did against Tottenham, which is understandable to an extent. But he only, again, a substitute that looks like he wants to do something and actually take players on, and he wasn't afraid today. I'm going to go 7 out of 10 for Alan Saint-Maximin today.
A bit like a Luai. It was absolute hot wire when he came on, and it took till him coming on to the actual anybody doing anything, any excitement in the ground. We came on, a buzz instantly generated, little flicks, little tricks, like a Luai-esque.
I'll tell you what got the biggest buzz of the ground was when Andy Carroll came on, Newcastle's number 7. Look, I think everyone was hoping for the fairy tale. He comes on and scores in the last few minutes or in the last minute. It didn't happen for him, but I don't think it's fair to give him a rain because I don't think he was on long enough to do so. But it was nice to see Bruce go 4-4-2. I know he's going to get a lot of stick, but at least he went for it.
Yeah, it was. The script was totally and utterly wrote for the lad, and there was a couple of little half chances here and there. A few times he came on and he was a little bit to me towards the right. I would have wanted him in the centre a bit more to try and create that confusion and panic, but the entire ground lifted and it was like a swell of positivity and an absolute teacup storm of misery and booing at half time and full time. But yeah, he was one of the bright sparks of the day, just to get him back on and see him back in that shirt and make a nuisance of himself.
I'll go non-applicable because I think you only had about 9 or 10 minutes. Steve Bruce, now I said in my preview that if he doesn't win this game, he's under a lot of pressure. Doesn't get the 3 points today. Now, Brighton at home, 79% possession for Brighton in the first half. Newcastle lacked creativity. They felt like they had no plan B to counter Brighton's 3-4-3. Yes, we probably had the better chance in the first half, and second half I think was more of an even contest. But Steve Bruce doesn't get a high mark for me at all today because we've drawn nil. No, we've disrespected Brighton, but you can't be drawing 0-0 against Brighton if you want to stay in this division.
There's no excuse for it. The players that he had out there, and he just stood there, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's like an advert for Werther's Originals. It does not inspire that he's sitting there, looks like he's chowing on a Werther's Original, sucking on a cabbage, whatever you want to say. He just does not.
Don't talk about cabbages with Steve Bruce.
No, but he does not look inspiring whatsoever. I said he's not going to help himself by playing this brand of football and getting these types of results. The attendances are dwindling as it is. There's all the sort of boardroom issues, and then he perseveres. I mean, anyone in the mother could say that you need a change. I'd have made at least a double change at half time. It just seems like a rabbit in the headlights. It's just too big of a monster, too big of a machine to him to be able to handle. He's a championship manager thrown in the Premier League, and it reeks of it all over. It really, really does. And he's now made it really difficult. We've got Leicester, Manchester United,
Chelsea, Wolves. There's your next 4. Where do you get points from there?
That Wolves game is going to be huge, but I'll tell you what, there are going to be no mugs. They are going to come back at some time or the other, and you can guarantee it'll be when the playoffs. It always is. It's sod's law. But Bruce is going to be under some absolute major pressure because of the political situation, because of everything else. But I'm telling you now, you need to be making changes more earlier, more decisively, and go for it. We're at home against Brighton.
He did go for it 10 minutes ago, and this is something
10 minutes.
But Rafa wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have brought Carroll on for a defender in Willems.
He'd have got some results in some of the other games. Now, we probably wouldn't have won down Spurs, but at the end of the day,
I'm not defending him. I'm just saying I just think that's something that Bruce would do.
But even look at his counterpart. And I was saying in the game, Brighton looks just more alert. The passing is better, it's crisper, it's shorter. They're playing triangles around us. They're tactically outclassing us. We've got a numpty in charge. We want We need better out-of-the-box thinking, and we're just going back to the old-fashioned. We're stuck in the 1990s. Charlie seems to have a man crush on these 1990s managers. You've got the likes of Wally and the Brolly. Now you've got this lad here, and it's just not... It is not good enough for Newcastle United. He is not good enough for Newcastle United. He's been given a fantastic chance, and you're fucking it right up.
I'm going to go 3 out of 10 for Steve Bruce today. I think that's probably generous, but he's got a few tough games on his hands, and I think that he needs to get wins on the board to get away from this relegation zone. Get your comments in below. What would you give your rating today? I think our man of the match is probably the Dubravka or Lascelles. Like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV. Get all the reaction with Newcastle Fans TV tonight for Newcastle and Brighton. We'll see you at the next video.